order at, I have 6 o'clock. Okay. So the first item on the agenda is the K through 12 comprehensive school counseling and career development program, which is pretty extensive.
Yeah, this is just our triennial review. So our counselors work with Kurt and the CTC to develop this. They're just, so it's based off of their annual goals for the elementary level, the middle level, and the high school level. And it helps keep them on track. And it's pretty basic. So, but they're focusing on attendance and students' well-being and making sure that if they're here, then we can educate them. And so how do we get them here? And how do we make sure that this is a place that they want to come? And in conjunction with being dark blue for Dr. Martin with our career readiness standards and helping them understand what it is that they might want to do and help explore those areas as they're growing up through the schools. And then when they get here, they can take advantage of our CTC offerings or our Penn College Now classes or, you know, any of our other dual enrollment opportunities that we have.
But out of curiosity, so looking at the economically disadvantaged percentage of students with Bucktail and a couple of the other buildings. But when you look at the high schools, thinking of these dual enrollment things and the AP courses, et cetera, would it be my assumption that the higher need families are probably least likely to enroll their kids in these AP courses and dual enrollment? Because isn't that why they were started in the first place? It's the high need students to try and get them.
Well, and I think to that point, a lot of those students who come from a higher socioeconomic, they have more privilege and more understanding of these courses, where our lower ones, they may not have had a good experience in school or may not think that they could handle this. We have been working with the foundation that if there are any of these courses that they would want to take, or even dual enrollment courses, that we seek some grants through them to cover that cost. So we try to make it as available as possible for all students. Mr. Portman does do 2 scholarships a year, and we have them apply. We give, we consider Bucktail students and Central Mountain students. So, you know, they go through that process. We review the applicants and we award those scholarships. I think we've only ever had one student where we've given a scholarship where they didn't complete the course. That's it. So.
And I think really too, as things have changed and evolved with dual enrollment, AP in a sense is becoming a little outdated. If I don't want to use the wrong word, but dual enrollment is definitely for, especially for, I mean, I think it's for all students, but especially economically disadvantaged students, a really good path to take, because we can get them the scholarship money to pay the tuition costs, and then it's guaranteed that they'll get that college credit, and it gives them that little, like, you know, pep in their step to say like, hey, I can do a college level course. I already have X amount of credits already earned as a high school senior, and I think it just kind of continues to perpetuate that mindset of I can do this, you know, I've done it before, I can do it again. Whereas AP, it's a little bit harder because they take the test and they may or may not pass, and they may or may not get credit based on where they're going.
And the foundation does pay for those AP tests for us. So those students don't have to endure that cost.
So the barriers have been, as many as we could identify, have been removed to be able to
Right.
help all students access.
I think just the promotion with the families of, you know, putting out there that this is really accessible, you know, from any student who wants to take advantage of it, is probably our biggest challenge right now, that we've got to try to make sure that we do a better job of reaching all families and students.
And I honestly think that starts with getting more parents here, or somehow finding a solution for like curriculum showcase nights. You know, getting more parents here to understand the course options. And that's
Because I assume they already have a buy-in if they've gone to college,
Right.
the mom or
yeah,
the parent.
yeah,
But with families where there's no college.
yeah.
Or beyond.
Absolutely.
even just being aware of what the options are, because I've talked to, it, just being at opening days at various schools, I've talked to some of our own employees, which would have, they would have attended college, they're in education, and they're not aware of all the options that our district has for their own child. So if they're disconnected, someone who doesn't work for the district, and then you throw the economically disadvantaged later on top of that, it kind of really complexes it, and so yes, we need to make sure we can somehow communicate that.
Question for you, are there, I've been hearing there are a number of Haitian students at Rob and English as second language students at Rob.
We have a humongous influx currently this year. We have 47 total in the district right now. Of that, probably 11 or 12 speak no English. I just had confirmation today. We have 2 more Venezuelans coming in who speak no English. And apparently there's 30 other Haitian families that have school-age children that could be coming. So our ESL department is really trying to respond to that because it's truly a great need. And the hardest part I think about that is our teachers understanding that it's okay that they're not getting everything that you're saying because they have no idea what you're saying, but in working with them in alternate ways and that still being okay. So we have a lot of professional development to do around that, just because of this influx.
Well, and for some of them, it's even just getting used to the American culture, because I've noticed many families at various stores, and some of the clerks have treated them horribly. And I had to intervene at Walmart one day because the clerk was so nasty too. They didn't even understand little, the machine that. And the clerk was just so impatient with them, and maybe she's having a bad day, I have no idea, but it was just like. Just relax a minute, they just go step by step, walk around, show them. It'd be no different than if we went to some other country.
Can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I spent time in Ukraine teaching for a semester. I didn't know anything about a lot of their things, so.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Jay, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Just out of curiosity, you don't have to answer now, but that just made me, all that software that you have for, putting up all the classes and the software packages that you have for lessons. Do you think that software package has the ability to do multi-languages if someone so chooses to, or?
It depends on the particular platform, like we're actually just going through right now and getting licenses for our math program that has the Spanish component. So we're starting to layer on those pieces that we didn't have before because we didn't have the need, and now we do.
Okay.
So we're starting to add those, I don't know if you want to talk about what you've been looking into.
We've been looking, it's called Summit K-12, and it's just a comprehensive curriculum that will assess the students where they're at, and then it will derive a 6-week plan for them to help them with their speaking, listening, reading components that they'll also then be assessed with the LEDA, that we have to do the LEDA screener for them. So, but it allows them to kind of build on those skills, and it gives them specific activities to help strengthen their own skills, but it also has a guarantee that if a kid doesn't grow within a point, that they'll give you your money back because they believe in this program, that it's done such great things. We're still kind of figuring out if that's legit, and we'll be checking those references when we get them, but we lack a comprehensive program for our students. We have bits and pieces that we try to supplement, but it's also then so much work for our teachers, our classroom teachers, our ESL teachers, and trying to get everything translated and finding that information and dissecting where those kids are when this program would just do it for us.
Is there anything the board can be doing to help that transition of these children and families and the teachers and counselors? I mean, is there need for more staff, resources?
I think right now we're okay with staff and we're working on those resources. So I think when we bring those resources to you, that could be something for you guys to consider.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna have to be a increase in what we probably had planned on doing, just because you can't, and that's the nature of the, you know, these groups of students, is it's transient, and flux, you know, it's always in flux, so I think we'll just respond to the need.
Gossip that these families are living in very crowded conditions in some apartments, but I don't know if this is true, but I heard through the grapevine from somebody who lives not too far from like the Eagle, Sons of it, that they think there are 17 Haitian men in a 1-bedroom apartment in one building. And it worries them, not more for
Right.
those men,
Right,
because they stay very
right,
close to themselves. But I hope that's not the case with these families too, because that's definitely not a learning environment.
I was at a home visit last Friday and there were 2 families living in a 2-bedroom apartment on Church Street and there were 5 kids and only one of them is of school age. So, but that's the other thing too, is trying to get these kids who are not of school age, a preschool experience so that they can start learning the culture and being in a structured environment, so.
And are the parents working at the meatpacking? Is that what it is?
Well,
At
I
Nicole?
think, yeah.
Okay.
Thank-
That's what I figured, the majority are,
Mhm.
okay, I'm sorry to have gotten
Nope,
off track. But I,
Yeah.
you know, you hear these things and I just wanted to confirm it.
Yeah,
well, it's
Here,
finally,
there's
it's finally
something we need.
needing to approve some resources. Timely question.
They're all our kids.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah, do we get to-
Want them to succeed.
Yeah.
And adjust to the country.
Thank you very much.
So the absenteeisms that are listed, they have to have, what is it, 10 absences?
so that is, that's what they targeted kind of like as their baseline, those students who have 10 absences.
That seems a lot.
It is, you get 10 parent excuses a school year before a doctor's note is required, so. Those are all of the students who have at least exhausted all of their parent excuses.
I see. And why do you think they would be, just parents are just not caring, their child gets up and says, I don't want to go to school that day, or?
Sometimes, like if you're a parent who doesn't work, it's not really a big deal, you know? For my kids, you know, you gotta go to school because I gotta go to work. But if you're home all day, then it's a little bit easier, or, you know, they don't wanna fight their kiddo to go to school. You know, there's a variety of reasons.
Or they get up early to go to work and don't know that the kids didn't come to school.
Yes,
What's that?
Or they get up early to go to work and the kid,
Oh,
they don't know the
I
kid doesn't
know.
go to school until they get the phone call and.
yeah.
Yeah, that could happen. Anything else about this plan?
Nope.
Is it hard getting male guidance counselors? And
have-
that field is female dominated.
It is, and we only have 1 male school counselor and we have 1 male social worker. And the rest are all female. In the last 3 rounds, we've had 3 male applicants. And that's it. And unfortunately, you also want to hire the best person and
Of course.
they,
Of course,
they,
that makes.
they were not the cream of the crop.
Mhm.
So,
Very good.
So you're talking about Phil?
Phil was here before I got here, but he,
Oh, no, I mean, he's the one man.
yeah, yes.
And who is the social worker?
Kyle Gaylor,
Can't remember that name.
yeah, he's really fantastic.
Good, good.
What's his last name?
Gaylor,
GALER.
I just want to know whether I'm gonna go to school with him.
oh no, he's younger than I am.
He's probably younger, he's younger
I
than
didn't
me.
graduate college until
High school?
college.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Duct tape.
Right. Move on here, I know you guys are on a time.
Yeah, Saturday proposal.
Yeah.
This is kind of fascinating.
Yeah, so, I put together a memo with after, talking with our administrative team and Christina. So basically, if you haven't read through it, I'll give you just the summarized, a summary here of everything. So basically, right now, we're obviously fighting vapes. There's all sorts of philosophical viewpoints on whether vapes are safe, not safe, but the bottom line is the law says it's illegal for kids to have them, and this is strictly for nicotine. This is targeted to the nicotine vapes. It does break the law, it's the same as having tobacco. So currently, the process in place, the student gets caught. If they have a vape on school property, it violates the law, violates our student handbook as well. We give them, they get a citation because it does break the law. Then they get the school consequence. And then typically what happens is they could go to a vaping cessation course. Currently, that's being run after school or during wind time. So that would be like at the end of the day or after school.
That's optional?
Well, so if they complete that, they would get, the citation would be withdrawn. The problem that we're running into or that the administrators are seeing is that because it's such a short amount of time, that it takes so long for the kids to get through, and then if they miss it, if they're absent, then you have to try to figure out how do you make that time up. So what they were looking at and thinking, in the past, we used to run a Saturday school detention. So the thought process was, and I know that Officer Van Gorder has talked with the local magistrate who was on board with this. So what they were thinking to do, if we could offer the Saturday school, which currently isn't an option in our student handbook, that they could cover the program curriculum in one city. So now you could educate, because part of the process is to educate students on the dangers of vaping. And, you know, it just from being at Bucktail the last half of the year, like it was very, very fascinating to see the differences in the strengths of what the kids were bringing and just in nicotine. So some of them, like every time they're utilizing those, it was like the equivalence of an entire cigarette. And then when you talk to kids, they're saying, well, yeah, I do this like 2 or 3 times at a clip. That's like 2 or 3 cigarettes. Multiply that by the amount of times over the day. They were smoking much more, if you want to call it that, than what they were ever thinking.
So I see your listed days, but the question I had is, they have to go to every one of those?
No,
Or just
so
one
here's
Saturday?
what we're proposing. So we're proposing to run every other week. A Saturday school session just for this. So you would take in that 2-week period, anyone who was eligible, and to be eligible, you have to be a first-time offender. After that, you get the citation. So if I'm a first-time offender, in that 2-week period, I would be granted permission by the magistrate to be able to attend this class. I attend the class on my assigned date. Then it's reported back that you were a program completer. They withdraw the citation. So you don't go to all those, you would go, these are the dates in the proposal. So right now, there isn't any, there were not any plans for Saturday school. So this would be, what I outlined here would be kind of the worst case scenario if we ran a Saturday school every other Saturday throughout, starting October 21st to May through May, those would be the dates. It would be a cost if we ran at the middle school, Central Mountain High School in Bucktail. At all of those locations, every other Saturday, it would be approximately $7,800 to pay
I
that.
think very reasonable price.
Yeah, so, but that would assume, that's worst case scenario. I don't anticipate, well, actually,
Well, we even talked about possibly combining the middle school and the high school groups together. So depending on how many students had violated the policy when you.
Like if you only have one middle school student,
Yeah,
or a
right.
group
Can we
of
just do
high
one
school or
group?
vice versa.
Yeah, and so then that cost would go down if we would combine those.
Out of curiosity, does 'cause I seem to remember years ago, like American Lung Association had that. Now not, or smoke non, I can't remember the title of it. Where they would be contracted by some schools to go in and do the smoking cessation.
That's what this program is from. It's from the American Lung
Oh, wait.
Association. And we have a meeting coming up with, building from there to get more resources
Okay.
for our parents and our students as well.
Just out of curiosity too, would there be any other incentives you could provide a student? Like, I don't know, if they stay for the day, I don't know, do you have a school store? I don't. Like they get some
Right.
points to use it, or
Well,
I
and
don't
that's
know.
something that we had kicked around too, because along with violating that, then they would get demerits, and if you get demerits, then you like lose privileges.
Oh, so they can
So,
get this removed.
Possibly, I even brought up to the high school that maybe those demerits are removed if you complete the course.
That's what I'm wondering, because that's,
Right.
I mean, that's a
Right.
lot
Yeah.
for a student to give up a Saturday. I mean, obviously.
But it's in place of the,
And punishment and
what's in place of a citation,
Yeah,
breaks the
yeah,
law, so.
so it's a big positive.
Yeah.
I
But it would
understand.
also allow them to stay in school and have us not assign them a suspension,
Suspensions.
and where they would miss the education.
So, and from our perspective, we would be able to concentrate on delivering the entire curriculum to educate the students, so hopefully you could cut the numbers down in the future. And that's the whole purpose of this, and then if they decide from that information is not worthy of them changing their habits, then obviously any future consequences.
Is there any programming for the parent that, even if it's an alternative, because I know you can't force a parent to give it anything.
Crossroads has a program that does incorporate parental support and participation. The only problem with that is the magistrates can't. So let's say a student had subsequent offenses, the magistrate can't order the parent to participate in such a course. So, but there are courses out there, so we also have it that if there's a second violation or whatever, that we would refer them through our SAP program for an additional SAP or vaping cessation program with Crossroads as a support that they could receive here at school.
I would hate to see this go as like a Zoom thing someday, but that's the thing, transportation, we're busing the kids, right, or picking
No.
them up in the van, or. What happens if the parents
They have to
don't
get
have,
here on their own.
what happens if the parents don't have a vehicle?
I guess we'd have to, look at that.
Figure out something.
On a case-to-case basis, and the other thing, the other reason for this, what was currently happening is. If students weren't completing this course and then that citation, a parent would say, can't afford it, so then they would get in community service, which now. Ties up, it just complicates things, so this was a way for us to look at a problem, identify a solution.
No, thank you.
Very minimal, and actually, I think the price, at the top on the cost is not accurate. If you look at the one underneath, it's really to run it for each location total, which should be around $4,900. That's what it would cost it.
And who is the teacher who?
There are,
Teachers?
There's a variety of teachers who went through a facilitator training through in-depth, and so right now. We have 5 teachers who are willing to do it either after school, and we have additional ones who are willing to do it just on Saturdays. So we can even rotate them through, so we don't burn them out.
Great,
Well, I fully support, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's wonderful.
anything that
great job.
gets the student to succeed. Completing the program is a positive. Rather than having the record,
Burns the system.
a no-brainer. Thank you. Do we need to approve anything?
it would just be I believe just a amendment to the secondary handbook that in the discipline that would.
Do we need a motion here?
No, we
Oh,
don't. do
but
motions
that's
in
under
here.
main.
That is a work session.
Okay.
But you two are in agreement, that's what they
Curriculum updates.
Okay, I'm gonna make it super speedy. Super speedy. Now you need to let me share.
Oh, gosh, Megan.
Maybe, no, I got it.
Okay.
All good. I just had a few updates. A lot of this you can kind of just read through. I did want to show you, launching soon, we have a new curriculum website that I'm super excited about. It's gonna look like this, and it's linked to our district page. And it has all the content areas, and basically, like if you click on social studies, kindergarten, the 3 units for social studies kindergarten comes up, and they can actually click to view that whole unit map for each unit if they would wish to see that. So remember, Elizabeth, the other day when you said curriculum map, what's that? This is a curriculum map. So basically they would be able to go, and I don't have health and PE live yet, but click on the grade level and see the curriculum for each content area right from our website. And right now, that doesn't really exist. So this is kind of a whole new website that we're getting ready to launch, just again, in that name of transparency for parents about what we're teaching. Because as you approve it, then we can move it over to this website for official board approved curriculum, and this is the way that we can share that with parents.
This is open, that would be open to the public.
Yeah, be open to the public. I'm working on getting each content area published. So I started with social studies is done, now I'm gonna move on to health and PE. I will send you all an email when it's officially live, but I just kind of wanted to give you a sneak peek of that, because I know sometimes you get questions about where to find curriculum or what it is, and the final answer will be on the website.
And I love your graphics too, very, very friendly, very calming.
Yeah, and we tried to make it
Very
like,
nice.
if the parent wants a little bit of information, they can start here, but they can also click to look at more information. So we didn't want it to be too overwhelming, but it allows them to dive deep if they want to.
Fantastic.
So we definitely have been getting more inquiries about curriculum. I think in the current political climate, it's definitely a hot topic, so I think it's nice if it's